Diamondvale. Shattered Memories. By Eric Hua. Chapter 7. Recovery and the Guest. Opening his eyes, Arnov could see the ceiling with the lights on. He was in a daze, but he felt something licking his face. It was Barman, and the sight of the creature woke up his whole body. Willingham pulled Barman away and shouted to Netanya and Ajay that Arnov was conscious. Arnov had no recollection of the examination, so Netanya explained that he lost control of his powers. He was in shock, but yelling at their group to be quiet was Harshitha, who was across from Arnov lying on the hospital bed. He was also surprised to see Harshitha injured and wanted to ask her what happened. However, bursting into the room was Dr. Ashima, who couldn't stand the loud ruckus. Everyone stood in their position as she quickly scanned the room to find the one responsible. Her eyes fell on Harshitha, who couldn't believe she was being blamed for everything. The Diamond rank attempted to defend her case, but Dr. Ashima wouldn't listen. She checked on Harshitha's status report and stated that she needed more recovery time before she could be out on campus again. Out of nowhere, Ashima pulled a giant crystal hammer, calling it her healing hammer. Harshitha tried to scare the doctor away, but Ashima slammed the hammer against her head and Harshitha instantly went to sleep. Ashima then turned to Ajay, Netanya, and Willingham and asked if any of them were feeling unwell. They immediately went silent and shook their heads. They were all quivering in fear, but thankfully, Headmaster Visits entered the room, forcing Ashima to halt her actions. He kindly told the doctor that the nurses in the other units needed her expertise. Begrudgingly, Ashima left the room, complaining about the incompetent staff she had in the hospital. After the doctor left, the headmaster greeted the students, stating it was such a rare sight to see students from different ranks spending time together. As he approached, Barman hid behind Willingham's shoulder. Ajay and Willingham were stunned by the headmaster's presence as he walked over to Arnov to check on his condition. The headmaster sat down and recounted the events that happened at the stadium. He spoke about how Arnov used the geode breaker technique and then lost control of his powers. That was when Arnov felt troubled about all the people he hurt, including Harshitha. Ajay quickly told Arnov that Harshitha's injuries were not his fault but from the mysterious intruder. That caused greater concern for Arnov, but Visits assured him that his enforcers had detained him and everything was under control. Arnov felt relieved, but Netanya's curiosity had been piqued. She asked a couple questions about the intruder, but Visits seemed to brush off her concerns. Netanya was not satisfied and wanted to pry more information, but there was another knock on the door. It was one of the police enforcers wanting to speak with the headmaster. He apologized for cutting their conversation short, but he wished Arnov a speedy recovery before making his exit. The headmaster left a great impression on Willingham and Ajay, but Netanya didn't share their opinion. She had a weird feeling about the headmaster that just wouldn't go away, but she kept it to herself. Just outside of the room that Arnov and Harshitha were resting in, Headmaster Visits began walking away with his most trusted enforcer, the captain. The enforcer reported that people from Nadir had been spotted in the polluted wilds. That drew a bit of concern for Visits, but he trusted that his captain would be able to solve the issue without him getting involved. The captain affirmed his orders and left to take care of business. Myla opened her eyes to find her wounds had been treated. She felt a sense of relief and looked around to find she was in a small cavern. She also noticed something extremely important: Amrita was nowhere to be found. Right as that happened, someone entered the cavern, which startled her. It was the cyborg from back at the polluted wilds. Myla threw a kick right at his face, but the cyborg retaliated by grabbing her leg. He threw her across the cave, but Myla managed to reorient herself and land on her feet. She accused the cyborg for kidnapping her friend, but he adamantly told her that he was trying to help. Myla pounced on the cyborg and grabbed onto his back. Knowing her typical fighting tactics weren't going to help against his tough armor, she resorted to a new strategy. He tried to shake her off, but she hung on tight, trying to do all she could to sabotage his circuits. After experiencing a few minor glitches, the cyborg took control of the situation by grabbing Myla's arm and throwing her against the ground. He then had her pinned and one of his arms turned into a cannon. With the weapon pointed at her face, Myla experienced a small flashback of someone who had the exact face of the cyborg. She had a feeling she had seen the cyborg before. But before the situation could escalate, someone called out to them. Upon hearing that voice, the cyborg retracted his weapon and released his hold of Myla. Her temper had cooled and Myla followed the cyborg named Dante, who led her to where a man was sitting by himself enjoying some tea. When he saw that both Dante and Myla had arrived, he asked them both to make themselves comfortable. Myla was quick to the point and wanted to know why she was brought to them. However, the man was being very cryptic with his response, never giving Myla a definite answer. In frustration, she was about to leave, but the mysterious man warned her that the enforcers would be looking for her back in Nadir. She had no idea what the stranger was talking about, so she left the cavern. Dante was about to chase after her, but the man held the cyborg back. He told Dante that Myla would need more time and that they only need to be patient.